What's up, fight fans? MMA Fight Realm. My name's Chris, and we are back with another picks and predictions video for UFC 297. Strickland taking on Plessis for the middleweight title, and Mayra Bueno Silva taking on Raquel Pennington for the vacant bantamweight women's title. But first, guys, UFC Vegas 84, 10-1 with the picks. Be sure to check out that video, like, subscribe, comment. Man, could not be any happier with the success. I did have Tom Nolan in my parlay coming into that card, and he let us all down, unfortunately. But I did throw up a 6-leg plus 1570 that hit live on that card, and couldn't be any happier. Like I said, man, put my money where my mouth is. Plus 6-leg. I'll be throwing a screenshot of it in this video. But yeah, man, be sure to check out that video. Let me know what you guys think, because a lot of those takes that I gave is a lot what played out in that card, and couldn't be any happier with the success, guys. Moving on, 297, we got great matchups, harder matchups to pick, but I'm ready, I'm prepared, and I'm gonna do my best to continue on with the success and maybe even do better. Who knows? We'll see. We got, leading off the card, guys, Jimmy Flick taking on Malcolm Gordon. Malcolm Gordon 2-4 in the UFC, and not the prettiest, but he's got losses to guys like Amir Albazi and Muhammad Mokaev. These guys, are formidable opponents. They're up in the rankings, and they've tested him in the grappling a lot like Jimmy Flick is going to want to. And Jimmy Flick, like I just said, is very more one-dimensional. 1-2 in the UFC. His one win coming by flying triangle to Cody Durden. And honestly, he was going to go on to lose that round and go on to lose that fight if it wasn't for him landing that flying triangle. I think Cody Durden was having his way on the feet, and he's more known for a wrestler himself. So for him to have his way on the feet in that fight and in that round, and then just eventually play into Jimmy Flick's game, which is the grappling, it just kind of exposed even more that Jimmy Flick is not a guy, maybe not a guy you want to play with on the ground, but certainly a guy you can contend with on the feet. And I think Malcolm Gordon, with his reach advantage coming into this fight, is going to be the X factor. He's got the grappling and the cardio to hold up against a guy like Jimmy Flick. He was able to grapple with Muhammad Mokaev up until the third round, and then unfortunately got submitted. But I think Mokaev is a lot more relentless than Jimmy Flick. So the pick is going to be Malcolm Gordon to win this fight by decision. I do think, like I said, he's got the grappling, and he's going to be slightly better on the feet coming into this one, going against Jimmy Flick. And it's his hometown Canadian himself, Malcolm Gordon, going to give him the win here by decision to start off the card. Moving up, guys, we got Jasmine Jasudavicius taking on Priscila Cachoeira. Jasmine and Priscila, they share an opponent in Miranda Maverick, and Miranda was able to actually get the sub on Priscila, while Jasmine was able to get the win over Miranda Maverick. So this is a lot. There's a lot of truth telling to that, because Jasmine showed off her skill set there. She's able to strike with Miranda. She was able to grapple with Miranda. Priscila has a one-dimensional fighting style, and you will never hear me on this channel talking good about these fighters who have a one-dimensional fighting style. She was able to get a knockout against Ariane Lipski, and that looks good on the resume. But I think that was all the tape everybody needed to see whenever you're going to take on a girl like Priscila, who's got one punch power, and that's really all she's looking to do. She doesn't have the advantage on the ground with majority of her opponents, And Jasmine's going to have a reach advantage here. She's going to have the grappling advantage here. The prediction here is going to be Jasmine to win this fight by decision or by submission. She could get her first finish in the UFC here. Priscila's known to get subbed, and Jasmine's going to be aggressive. She's also a Canadian. She's going to want to please the crowd. So I'm going to look for her to be aggressive. The odds are on this one are looking right. And definitely going to go with Jasmine to win this one, like I said, by sub or by decision.
All right, guys, moving up the card, we got Yohan Lainesse taking on Sam Patterson. And if you watch a lot of tape on this one, guys, you don't want to overcomplicate it, but if you watch a lot of tape, you will, because Sam Patterson does have a win over a Magomedov from Dagestan in Brave FC. He showed off his grappling. He was able to grapple against the Dagestani style, and I just think that Lainesse is not a guy who's going to look to grapple in this fight. He's going to want to keep this fight standing. Lainesse is known to find that chin, and Patterson, moving up a weight class, he's used to fighting guys who where he'll have a height and reach advantage against, and because of that, he likes to leave his chin in the air and just move his head back to avoid shots. I think Lainesse is going to be training well to find that chin, and it only takes one with a guy like Lainesse. So, also fighting in his backyard. Give me Lainesse to win this fight by KO or by decision. I think that his output will be enough to win this fight. Moving up, guys, we got Gillian Robertson taking on Polyana Viana. Gillian Robertson, most submissions in her weight class. They share an opponent, though, actually, in Tabitha Ricci and JJ Aldrich. Both lost to Tabitha Ricci and JJ Aldrich. So I'd say that these two girls are fairly equal, but Gillian Robertson is going to be slightly better everywhere in this fight, in my opinion. I think she looks for submissions way more aggressive than Polyana, and Polyana way too comfortable with fighting on her back, and that 42% takedown defense shows it. So give me Gillian Robertson to win this fight by submission or by decision. I think she could rack up enough control time to where Polyana Viana won't be able to capitalize at the end. Moving up, guys, we got a rematch here. Serhiy Sidey taking on Ramon Taveras. They fought in the Contender Series. Sidey was able to drop Taveras clean, but unfortunately, the ref pulled the fight way too soon, in my opinion, because Taveras looked all right, even though he got dropped. The fight definitely should have continued. I wanted to see how he would have bounced back in that one. And Taveras, that's the second time, he got pretty much rocked in a fight from what I've seen, because I did see him get finished in a regional scene by a head kick. So the guy is susceptible to getting clipped out there, man. And Sidey gonna have the height and reach advantage here, and he's fighting in Canada. I think he's gonna look to please the crowd. I don't see this fight going to decision, but if it does, I'm gonna go with Sidey to win this one. I think that he can find that chin though, so give me Sidey to win this fight by KO or by decision. I'm gonna lean KO though. I think he could find that chin, maybe with a head kick or something clean on the hands. He found it already on the Contender Series, and although Taveras was having some success, I just think that Sidey has all the tape to improve on that fight. And yeah, like I said, give me Sidey to win this one by KO or decision.
Moving up the card, guys, another Canadian, Charles Jourdain, taking on Sean Woodson. Featherweight matchup here, guys. Jourdain, if you look at Tapology, 6-5 in the UFC, and that's not a pretty record for the UFC. But he's riding a two-fight win streak against people who you would say he definitely had the striking advantage against, but they were going to test him in the grappling. He even got a sub finish against Ricardo Ramos, and pretty slick pretty slick ground game by Charles Jourdain to be able to get a sub finish on Ricardo Ramos. But I don't think Sean Woodson is the type of guy who even will test him there. I think this fight will take place on the feet. Sean Woodson is going to do his best to keep the fight at his distance, at his range. And if Jourdain cannot get past that distance, it's going to be a long night, man. Woodson can rally up enough significant strikes to potentially, just have Jourdain on the back foot. And if that starts happening, it'll be a big problem for Jourdain. But I do think that Jourdain has the ability to break the distance gap and start fighting in close against Sean Woodson. If he's not afraid of what Sean Woodson can do in the clinch, which is where I think Jourdain fights at his best, I think Jourdain can get this fight either on the ground or start landing some clean shots to the head of Sean Woodson. Luis Saldana, who Sean Woodson fought to a draw, Luis Saldana was able to land some ferocious shots on Sean Woodson, put him down twice in that fight, and arguably should have won, but he wanted that flash KO finish. He didn't want a TKO stoppage, so he didn't go for the ground and pound. Sean Woodson should be 3-2 in the UFC if it wasn't for that, but he's got a draw on his record instead. I think that Jourdain, when it comes to the striking, he's better than a guy like Luis Saldana. So give me Jourdain to win this fight by decision or by KO. Another guy fighting in his backyard, by the way. So a little extra motivation there. And Brad Katona, moving up, guys. Brad Katona taking on Garrett Armfield. Let's break this one down, guys. Garrett Armfield 1-1 in the UFC, with his only win coming by Toshiomi Kazama. And I really don't think that the guy is UFC caliber. If you watch his fights, Toshiomi Kazama lost his fight in the road to UFC, and then he got a bounce back opportunity against Garrett Armfield, and he gets finished. So we can't really say that Garrett Armfield's fought anyone UFC level yet. And Brad Katona, man, he's tested, dude. The guy fought in the Ultimate Fighter some good contestants, and if you watch that season, he held his own, man. He's got the cardio, and he's got a great jab behind him. He's got good striking. I think he can mix it up very well against Garrett Armfield. Garrett Armfield has only really been successful against cans, man. I can't really say that he's been successful elsewhere. So he's going to have to prove me wrong on Saturday night. I'm going to go with Brad Katona to win this fight by decision. I think his forward pressure is going to get to Armfield, and Armfield's going to get tired. Katona wasn't even breathing heavy in the third round against Cody Gibson, and they were putting on Merab Dvalishvili pace, as Paul Felder said in that fight. So, yeah, give me Brad Katona to win that one by KO or by decision, guys. Moving up into the main card, guys, we got Arnold Allen taking on Movsar Evloev. Definitely the second best fight on this card, in my opinion. Very unfortunate that it's 3 rounds. But, yeah, man, these two guys are formidable opponents in their weight class. Arnold Allen's only loss in the UFC came by way of Max Holloway. And Movsar is 17-0 coming into this fight. So, dude, these guys are just out there winning, and they don't know nothing but that. Max Holloway did put an end to Arnold Allen's streak, but when you play into Max Holloway's realm, which is the striking, you can only expect the same result, man. Max Holloway's proven on the feet, and against guys who aren't able to have that knockout power or land that knockout power, you're just not going to finish him. He's got the chin. the Crimson Chin of the UFC. But yeah, man, Movsar, a Russian style grappler who's nothing like anybody Arnold Allen has ever even faced, in my opinion, is what's gonna be the X factor here. Movsar has taken down every single opponent that he has faced. He's got an average of I think 4.71 takedowns in his 15-minute fights. And the last time Arnold Allen was taken down was back in 2018, guys. He did get taken down in that fight 6 times. And it was by some Joe Schmo. I don't even know his name. I can't even come up with it off my head right now. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys here is that Arnold Allen has not faced anyone with the forward pressure Russian style grappling that Movsar is going to bring to this fight. And I think that O is going to stay for Movsar. Give me Movsar to win this fight by submission or by decision. He does have all of his fights won by decision in the UFC, and Arnold Allen is definitely proven. He's definitely better on the feet too. So if this fight does start playing out on the feet over a round and a half, I will get nervous about my pick here. But give me Movsar to win this fight by submission or by decision, guys. Moving up, we got Chris Curtis taking on Marc-Andre Barriault. Middleweight bout, guys. Chris Curtis, now 36 years old. Might come as a surprise to some of you, but 34 years old is when he made his debut in the UFC. Guy's been busy. 7 fights in 2 years. So that shows that, he's defensively proven. He's defensively sound, and he's got that Philly shuffle. He's got great boxing, and he's got phenomenal takedown defense, man. But this fight, he's not going to have to worry about getting taken down. Marc-Andre is a guy who will, if anything, force the fight on the cage, but he's not a guy who's going to look for the takedown. And Marc-Andre, he's got a relentless pressure. That's the one thing Chris Curtis is going to have to worry about. Marc-Andre's relentless pressure, and if Chris Curtis isn't able to land something clean here, I do think that pressure is what's going to build up in this fight. Marc-Andre, the Canadian, is got a lot riding into this one. 2-fight win streak and fighting in his backyard. I think that he puts on a pace in majority of his fights that once his opponents start to realize, it's just too late for them to make a difference. And Chris Curtis is a guy who could fall victim to that. So I do think that Chris Curtis might win a round in this one. Give me Marc-Andre Barriault to win this fight, 29-28. All right, guys, moving up. Neil Magny taking on Mike Malott. Neil Magny, his age is starting to show. 36 years old. And in his last one, he got exposed, man. Ian Garry was chopping up the legs. Ian Garry was chopping them up on the feet, just everywhere. Everywhere that fight took place, it almost just seemed like Neil Magny could never get it going. And he got exposed, man. Mike Malott, a guy who in his only 3 fights in the UFC, he's got 3 finishes. 2 by submission, 1 by KO. I just think that the guy goes out there, he looks to finish his opponents, and he's got the physicality difference here. Neil Magny, the taller opponent, but he's the lanky, skinny guy. He's got those chicken legs. I think that Mike Mallott's going to chop him up again, just like Ian Garry was able to. But this time, I think Mike Malott is going to go to take this fight on the ground. And that's where he seems his best, because he's got a good amount of finishes by submission, Mike Malott. And I think that that's where this fight's going to take place. Mike Mallott's going to get the takedown. Give me Mike Malott to win this fight by submission or by decision. I think he'll rack up enough control time. Neil Magny is not a guy you want to play with on the feet. So Mike Malott, his best bet is to bring this fight to the ground. And his best bet at getting a finish is certainly by submission. But yeah, man, moving up the card, guys. We got the co-main event. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of the picks. And put your bets in the comments, guys. Mayra Bueno Silva taking on Raquel Pennington for the vacant women's bantamweight title. Guys, this is going to be a tough matchup here. I think that it's very clear Mayra Bueno Silva has the grappling advantage if Pennington's cardio doesn't hold up. But Pennington, she's fought the who's who of this weight class. She's fought the cans of this weight class. I think she's very proven. And Pennington, although she's 35, man, she's known to put on a pace. Sorry. And that pace is catching up to a lot of her opponents lately. She's on a 5-fight win streak. Mayra Bueno Silva also on a 3-fight win streak of her own, but it didn't look the same. You know, I just think that Mayra Bueno Silva, like I said, very clear that she will have the grappling advantage here. But if she tries to play on the feet too long against Raquel, I think I'm going to have to go with Raquel in the striking advantage here. Raquel Pennington, if her cardio holds up, I think that she can win rounds 1, 2, and 3. And if it starts going into the later rounds, I hope and pray that she doesn't get taken down, because that gas tank might not hold up and she could get submitted. But I do think that Raquel is the better fighter here. I just think that Mayra Bueno Silva might be catching her at a better time. But I'm going to have to go with Raquel, man. I think she's just the more craftier fighter. She's got more tools. She's got better ways to win. She's more proven. Amanda Nunes was only able to get 3 takedowns on her. That was enough to get her the win. But, you know, I just think that Mayra Bueno Silva is nothing Raquel Pennington has never seen before. She's definitely faced someone of her style, caliber. And for Mayra Bueno Silva, Raquel Pennington is going to be a very, very challenging opponent. Holly Holm was a hard test for her, and every fight going forward should be a hard test for her. You know, she's moving up in the rankings, and she's got losses to people like Manon Fiorot, who's not even in her weight class. You know, so yeah, man, give me Raquel Pennington to be the new women's bantamweight champion this Saturday night, man. Moving into the main event, guys, we got Sean Strickland taking on Dricus du Plessis. Now, I don't know which Sean Strickland we're going to see this Saturday night. We might see Deshaun Strickland, or we might see Sean Strickland. Deshaun Strickland was able to put on a masterpiece in his last fight, man. He just put on a one-sided beating against Israel Adesanya. It was amazing to watch. Like, man, props to you, Sean Strickland, fighter of the year. Definitely huge year for Sean Strickland. But Dricus du Plessis, man, 6-0 in the UFC. And the guy has 4 KO finishes, 1 submission. The guy goes out there looking to finish his opponents. Sean Strickland, 15 wins in the UFC, 10 have come by decision, guys. I think that Dricus's forward pressure is going to be too much for the current champion, Sean Strickland. I think Dricus is going to find that chin, and he's going to find it early. He's going to get Sean Strickland down, and if Dricus is on top, he could get a club and sub here, or he could even rack up enough control time to win enough rounds to where, yeah, I think that, you know, it's just going to come down to Dricus's gas tank holding up. If that's what we're hoping for, then give me Dricus du Plessis to win this one, man. He just recently had no surgery, so he said it himself. His stamina only improved after that, and we saw him look even better in that fight against Robert Whittaker. He won round 1 and he knocked him out in round 2. I think that we're going to see a very aggressive Dricus in the early rounds, and that's going to be enough to catch Sean Strickland and put him out, man. Give me Dricus to win this fight and finish this card. And there you guys have it, man. Those are my picks and predictions. MMA Fight Realm. Let me know what you guys think. Be sure to like and subscribe. Peace.